Hey everyone, we are back with part 2 in our Whatnot 101 series, kind of step-by-step through the process of getting started selling on Whatnot, all the way through the end of live selling, shipping, and customer service. If you watched the previous video, our first video in the series was talking about creating your account and applying so that you could actually get approved to sell on Whatnot, which is what you need to do before you can do this step, which is going to be scheduling your first show, setting up your inventory, and kind of prepping your show to actually go live. Like, what are all the steps before going live that you need to do in order to have a good, successful show? If you haven't watched that video, I'll link it up here. Go ahead and click on that and watch that video first if you haven't already created an account and applied, because you want to get that step done before you even watch this video. If you've already done that, or you've been approved to sell for a while and you're ready to just get started, this is going to be the video for you. We're going to start by tackling the process of getting your profile set up and then scheduling your show, and of course getting inventory available and ready to be sold. But I'm going to be doing a screen recording. I have an inkling that many people that are going to be watching this in-depth series are people who may be really comfortable with using a laptop anyway. So you're going to see the laptop browser version of what I'm doing. Now, all of this is transferable to your phone, and if you feel more comfortable using your phone, which in my opinion I think is easier, you're going to be able to find all of these same things on your phone. You just need to look on the screen as you open up your app, find the item that I'm describing here on the desktop, and it'll probably be very similar as it is on your phone. If you have any issues as I'm going through the video and you are using your phone and you can't find it, drop it in the comments below and I'll point you in the right direction. But we're going to be using a laptop view for most of this video. All right, let's go ahead and jump on in and let's get started. All right, first things first, we have our profile we need to set up, and there's a couple things you need to do right off the bat. For one, you need to kind of make your profile look similar to this, right? You need to put a banner picture back here in the back. You need to have a profile photo, and you need to go ahead and fill out your bio. Those are kind of the non-negotiables. We need to have some imagery and some information about who you are. What we'll do is go ahead and click on this edit profile button. And you can see here, it does have a name as well as your username. So your username is the way that people are going to find you. This is how people are going to search you up on the platform. Mine is obviously Resell Maven, so that's how people will find me. But I have my display name as Amanda because I want people to know that is my name. If they do want to call me by my name or send me a message with like a personalized greeting, that's my name. And then here's my bio, and I just have it kind of, you know, what represents me, what I want people to know. And as you can read there, it tells people when I go live and what they can expect to see on my shows, and as well as I am on YouTube and Instagram. So I've got that there. If you want to go ahead and add in a photo, you see how on the banner there is a little plus sign next to the camera there, and on your picture here there's a plus sign. So you can use your phone, you can use your laptop, wherever you have your images stored. Click on that little plus sign with the camera. It'll pull up your gallery and you can select the images that you want. As far as images in the background, you are going to want something a little bit longer, something that's more like a banner image. And if you don't have anything long like that, go to Google and just type in keywords that represent what you are selling or what you want to represent, and then use the word banner and then image, banner image, and then click search, and then toggle over where it says all to images, and that'll pull up a bunch of banner images, and you can download one of those and use that as well. It doesn't have to be something that you've taken a picture of. It can be anything, but you're going to want more of like a banner length image, and then your profile picture can be pretty much anything. I will always recommend that you use a picture of yourself or something relevant to what you're selling. A picture of your face or your dog or you on vacation with your husband or whatever it is that you're doing. Those are going to be great ways to give people just a sliver of who you are just by looking at your profile picture. Keep in mind your profile picture is what defaults to your thumbnails. So when we go to schedule a show, I'll show you that. Your profile picture will be your preview image until you change it. So every time you schedule a show, that is what people will see. They'll see whatever your profile picture is. So just make sure it's something that kind of like is relatable or draws people in some way. Just try to stick clear of something that's like too cluttered, too much going on. So you just want to have something that's kind of neutral and approachable is the point. All right, so that is how you set up your pictures, your banner image, and your bio, as well as your name. You're just going to click on that edit profile option, okay? Next up, what we want to go ahead and do is actually set up our payment information and return address. For very rare instances that someone does need to return something, which I don't know if I've ever had anything returned. It always goes back to Whatnot. But your return address, I think, really is more of when you're buying things, it's where your items are being shipped to. But nonetheless, they call it a return address, even though you don't really need to worry about returns. So to do that, we're gonna go ahead and find where our seller hub is on your phone. There should be a little 4 square grid at the bottom middle. If you click on that, it should pull up part of your seller hub. So we're gonna go on down to account settings. And then if you go over here to the left, you'll see where it says payments and addresses. You're going to put in your payment method there. So you're going to have just update. And this says a default payment method is required to place bids or purchase products in live shows. For bids placed in live auctions, you'll be charged only if you win. So that's going to be for making purchases, of course. You do need to have a payment method in there. And then for your addresses, same deal. You're just going to fill this out here. You will see there's an option for local pickup as well as like what your return address is. My return shipping address is different than my local pickup address. So I do have 2 different addresses in there. You're just going to fill out this information. Just make sure it's up to date and accurate. And then lastly is the verified buyer option. I don't worry about this. I actually do not turn verified buyers on in my show. And I'll show you guys that when we get into it. I know that you're like, what are you talking about? I'll show you that when we get into it. But all right, so you have all the like boring stuff out of the way. Now it's time to go ahead and start scheduling our first show so that we can start curating the show, start adding listings in. So here's how you're going to go ahead and schedule your first show. It's really, really simple. Look either on your phone or on your desktop here, and you're going to see this plus sign. Somewhere on your screen, you're going to see this plus sign. If you click it here on the browser, obviously, it pulls up 2 options. You can either list an item or you can schedule a show. Well, let's go ahead and schedule a show. If you are not going live and you're just using the marketplace, you can skip this part of the video and just go to where we're talking about listing items, because that is what the option you'll use is the list item option. But if you are planning on going live, here's how you set up a show. So we're going to go ahead and click schedule a show. And you'll notice that in the sections here, you're going to see some red asterisks next to some of the items. If you scroll here, you'll see some of the items have asterisks. Not everything, but these are things that have to be filled out regardless. And let's go ahead and get this first show scheduled. I actually have not seen this new updated version here, so we're going to kind of be going through it together. It used to look a little bit different. One thing about Whatnot, I'll let you guys know right off of the bat, is they are always tinkering and changing things in the back end. It is hands down, by far, without a doubt, even worse than customer service, my least favorite thing about selling on Whatnot. If you guys know my channel, you know I am a little critical of Whatnot. They have a lot of flaws and a lot of things they need to work out to be a much better platform than what they are now. And one of the issues is constant tinkering. They are always changing something that does not need to be changed, like constantly. So keep in mind, if you are watching this video, it may look a little different when you're watching it in a year or 2 from now, if that's the case. But for the most part, the information is probably going to be the same. You're going to need to title your show. You need to schedule it with a date and a time. And then you just need to like tell them, is it going to be an auction? Is it a buy it now show? Like, what's the format? Those are really the main things they want to know. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with naming your show. And this is so important. And it's kind of hard to show you guys on the computer why you want to maximize your title, but I'm going to show you at some point. I'll try to put a screenshot or something of on my phone what it looks like when I'm scrolling through to watch the shows. I'll try to show you guys what the title structure looks like and why it's important. So for my shows, I typically have a very default title that I know fits in perfectly to all the characters I can use and shows up on the screen as people are scrolling through. So I'm going to just workshop that general title so I can kind of show it to you. So typically for me, I'm selling books, and I have lots of books, and I have really good deals on books. And so I want to highlight that in my title. Fill this in with anything that you do. I sell high-end designer goods, and I have lots of it. I am doing $1 starts on handmade jewelry. I have 15 pairs of the same exact shoe, and we're doing $35 starts. Winner takes one of these 15 pairs of awesome shoes. Whatever it is that you're doing, curate your title around what you're doing in your show. And I don't know why I feel the need to emphasize that, but it is like something I see very often is just purely terrible curated titles. Like just saying books or shoe sale. I guess I just don't understand that, because you're trying to draw people in. And so imagine you are a store and you're trying to name your store. What would you name your store so people know what you're selling? That's kind of what you're doing here. All right. So for this one, I like to use a capital TONS because I have tons of books, and I like to just like really emphasize that. So I'm going to say tons of, and you'll notice I like to capitalize major words. Like of doesn't need to be capitalized, but tons and books I want to be capitalized. And then I'm going to put for all, again, capitalizing ages, because I have tons of books for all ages. It is like the most spot on way to describe what you're going to see when you pop into my store. And then I'm going to say most under $4, because that's very true. And that's kind of like my general curated title. I've got an exclamation point in there showing some excitement, and it's just very informative. Okay. So that's my title that I'm going to go with. Next, you're going to pick your show date. Obviously it can be, whenever you want. I'm going to just go ahead and put this one out until like November, just because I know I don't have shows scheduled that far out. I'm always live on Tuesday. So I'm just going to do the 4th here of November. So we'll do the 4th. We clicked that, and then we're going to go over to showtime. So what time is your show going to be? It can be literally any time of the day. There's no rules. If you are on the East Coast, just keep in mind, if you're going live at 7 a.m., that it's 4 a.m. in California, so there may not be as many West Coast people in your show. Let's go ahead and set ours for 4 o'clock, because that's typically what time my shows are. And we're going to do PM. All right, so we got 4 p.m. And then the repeats option is going to be for people who are a little bit more ready for like scheduling out a lot of shows in advance. Now for you guys, I would recommend at least scheduling your show to like repeat, so that you just have something else for people to bookmark. If you know that this is the same style show you're going to do again, I would use the repeats option, and you can schedule it to be like a daily repeat, a weekly repeat, monthly, like maybe just once a month. And so for you, let's just say you want to do something once a week for like a month and just give it a try. So we're going to say, let's say weekly, and then we'll do, how many weeks do you want it to repeat? Do you want it to repeat every week? Every other week, every 3 weeks? You can modify that here. So you see this here? You can do however many weeks you want. So we're going to say just every week, and then after number of shows or on date. So for after number of shows, this is going to be like after 1 or 2 shows or 3 shows, or like how many times do you want it to repeat? So do you want it to repeat 4 times and then that's it and it won't repeat more? That's going to create 4 single shows. You can do it up to 10 times. 10 times, that's how I schedule my shows. I do 10 at a time, scheduling them way out in advance, so I have plenty of time for people to bookmark. You could do after a date, so like maybe you're just like, I'm only going to go live for the month of September, and that's it. So from September until September 30, 31st, whatever it is, I'm not going live again. You could do the date. So that's kind of what the options are. So we're going to do after a number of shows, and I'm going to say 10. Let's see if it's still 10. Oh no, they changed it. Wow, that's insane. That is insane. Okay, so now I take back my words. It's more than 10 shows. So you can schedule it way, way out, which is actually kind of dangerous, I feel like. All right, we're gonna say just 2 shows. We'll just do 2 shows, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right. Next up is going to be our category. So picking your category, guys. If you haven't had a chance to browse Whatnot's category sections and just kind of see what the categories are and what one you most qualify for, definitely do that. I obviously sell books, so I'm going to go to the book category, but you can see here all the different categories, and they will bring up subcategories. So if you click home and garden, it will bring up like the options for that, right? So there are lots of subcategories. You can play around here, whatever it is that you might be selling. So for me, I am going to just do books and movies, and we're going to do books. And then the next option is primary selling format. So are you going to be doing auctions, buy it now, or surprise sets? Most people are going to qualify for auctions, which is what I pick, even though I actually have majority of my sales through the buy it now because I do the bundling. I do run some auctions, but most of it's bundling or buy it now purchases. And I actually choose auction because I am doing mostly an auction format. I'm offering auctions. I'm not only offering buy it now. Even though that's the majority of my sales, I am doing auctions, if that kind of makes sense. So for most of you guys, you're going to click auctions unless you are definitely not doing auctions, like unless the show really is just a buy it now show, then click buy it now. All right, next up, tags. All right, so tags are optional. You don't have to put in tags, but they are helpful. So there are tons of tags. Like I'm just going to scroll through. You guys can see I mean, this is just A's and B's, and I've scrolled like 4 times. There are a million different tags in here. Not really, but there's lots of tags. So you're just going to go ahead and pick the things that are best suited for what you're selling. So for me, you can also search. There's a search option up here. So for me, I like to do romance. I like to do thriller, mystery, and children's. So those are my 3 tags. You can pick up to 3 that I typically do. All right, next up we've got moderators. Moderators are people that help facilitate your shows. These are people that you trust, people that you know. You do not put moderators on that you do not know. These are people that are regulars in your show that come in super often, and they try to help out anyway. They tell people answers in the chat. They're just communicative and want to be of an assistance essentially to you. They enjoy your show. They're there all the time. I have a couple people that I moderate from time to time. These are people that have just been in my shows for a very long time. I trust them, and they are very, very helpful. To do a moderator, you would just type in their username. You would do the @ and then their username. So I'm not going to put any moderators in these shows. I only do moderators in shows where I'm not certain if I'm going to be able to keep up in the chat, or I feel as though it's going to be a really busy show and I can't possibly answer everyone's questions. So then I'll do moderators so that people can see that when they're responding, they're trusted. They're answering your question, and you can take what they're saying at face value because they have the little moderator tag next to them. You don't need to worry about that as you're just getting started. For most of you guys, it's going to be a really manageable audience, and you're going to be able to tackle all of that. And no one knows how your show runs if you've never done a show before. So you're going to want to skip the moderator part unless you have friends on Whatnot who are actual sellers or buyers, and you do trust them and you want to moderate them because they're going to be in your show to help you. That's how you would do it. You'll do the @ sign and then their screen name, and that's how you'll tag them for moderators. Okay, next up, we've got media. So we're actually going to skip this part personally. I actually do this later on because I like to do a screenshot or a picture of what I'm selling that night. So for example, I'll schedule my shows, and then once I have all my inventory set up, I'll actually take a picture of it and use that as my thumbnail. Again, I told you your profile picture is going to automatically default as your thumbnail. So your thumbnail can change if you want it to. It can stay your profile picture, or you can update it with something relevant to what you're selling. You can also add a preview video. I used to do these forever, and I don't do them anymore. I recommend doing them as you're getting started, though. I think it's a great way to showcase what you have. So what I used to do is I would take a picture of like everything I was going to be selling, or my bookshelves, or something appealing as my thumbnail. And then I would go in and take like a little 1-minute video, and I would just record myself. And I'd be like, hey guys, like this is everything that I have for sale tonight. I have all my shelves pictured in the store. I have all these new things I'm going to be showing you. I'm going to be going through the books one at a time. My prices are really reasonable. I do bundling. I just kind of like told people roughly like how I do my show or what they could expect. And then I posted that as my little thumbnail video. So as people are scrolling through the pages of the categories they're interested in shopping, they'll see your thumbnail photo. And if they pause for a second, Whatnot will automatically start playing the video in the background, or they can click on it and it'll start playing. And then they can watch your preview video and see if it's something they want to bookmark or join. So that is what the media section is. You can do that while you're setting up your shows if you have default images or videos that you want to use for everything. If you want to wait until after you've scheduled your show, you are more than welcome to do that. That's how I do it, because I'm not ready to upload an image yet because I don't know what my inventory selection is going to look like yet. We'll skip that. All right, next up we have our shipping settings. So I already determined I am not going to go into shipping on this video at all. We are going to talk about shipping 2 weeks from now. I've done multiple shippings in the past. I'll post some of those up here. So if you have any questions about like shipping, click there. Please, honestly, I don't even want to say this, but like, please don't even ask me questions in the comments about shipping, because like I have so many other videos about shipping that are going to be so much more helpful for you. So I'm going to steer you guys in the direction of those videos. So click on any of these that are probably popping up somewhere on the screen for shipping videos if you want to watch those later. The main one is going to be your shipping profiles, and I will definitely link that one here. I want to make sure that I like specify. I want to link that one here, shipping profiles, because that is the one that you really want to like make sure you understand. It's not complicated. I promise. It's so much easier than it sounds or looks, but just watch that video because it just does a good job like explaining how to set them up, why they're important, why they matter. And depending on what you're selling, you do not need to set up any shipping profiles. Whatever Whatnot has will be good. For those of you guys that are selling lots and bundles and random weighted items, you may want some additional shipping profiles. Again, not going to talk about that in this video. I'm just going to glaze over it, and I have that video pinned. You guys can watch that if you want more information on the shipping. But basically, you're going to have your shipping settings really, really simple. They're covered in those videos. It's going to be, do you want to allow free pickup? If so, you'll toggle this on. You can input your information for like where your pickup is and the instructions of what pickup would be. I'm going to go ahead and toggle that off. You are going to then pick how you want your shipments for, you know, packages that are under a pound, packages that are under 5 pounds, packages that are over 5 pounds. Again, I am not going over this in this video. I have too many shipping videos, and we will be talking about this in 2 weeks. So we're not going to talk about any of this, but you're just going to make sure all that looks good, but it's going to look good always because it's default. So once you set that up, it's done. You don't need to modify it. It'll always be what your domestic shippings are and how the shipping costs are set up. If you want buyer to pay shipping on all costs, then don't ever change that. And it should always default to buyer pays all costs. It's never going to change. I've never had it change. So we're going to skip over that. Again, when you're making your listings for your show, a lot of these things are things you're skipping over because they're preset. You do not need to change them every time you're making a show. But if you're scheduling your very first show, we're going to talk about it and go into depth here because I want you to know what you're skipping over or what you do need to make sure you have correct the first time so that for all future shows it's correct, right? All right. This is disable pre-bids, which is interesting. I actually have never seen this before where you can have it turned off so that people can't pre-bid on your items. Maybe you have items that really need to be shown on camera. They don't translate through images enough and you need to show them on camera. Maybe that's why you would turn that off. And then English for most people is probably going to be their primary language setting. You can also turn on explicit language. You can toggle this on. So this is going to be just if you're someone who likes to curse or you're playing music with, you know, curse words in it, or you are selling things that maybe are raunchy or you make little dirty jokes, whatever it might be, turn on explicit language. It just warns people before they pop in like, hey, just so you know, like there's maybe some explicit content in this channel. You can also pick some muted words. Maybe there are certain words you just don't want popping up in your show. Whatnot does a really good job at muting a lot of words. However, there's a lot of words that aren't muted. Like the F word is not muted for some reason. I don't know why. It's just because it's such a part of language. People don't mute it. It's not considered an explicit. I don't know. But if you don't want that word to be showing up in your chat, you can type that in or anything. Like maybe you just don't like that people refer to an item you sell as a dolly and you want them to call it a doll. You could have the word dolly muted because it bothers you. I don't know, whatever the reason might be. There are certain words that are just naturally muted. A lot of sexual innuendos are muted, and you'll learn that as you go live. You'll start seeing red banners popping up in the chat from time to time, and it's just muted words. It's nothing bad, but it's just words that you can see that the rest of the chat can't. Sometimes I'll have like a book like Moby Dick. Someone will type in Moby Dick in the chat and it'll get muted and I can see it. So I see they're requesting that book, but no one else in the chat can see it because it was muted. So that's what a muted word is. And then last couple things here, you've got show discovery. So obviously we want it to be public. You want everyone to be able to see it. If you want to schedule a private show, you can, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It's going to be where you can basically go through and only you are in there or people that have the link can be in there. So you can do like a private show as like an example, trial and error, touching buttons, pretending like you're running an auction. It looks just like you're live. You are live, but you're the only one that's in there, as well as anyone who has the link. And then you can also do rewards club, which is for people who hit certain tiers in your rewards club. I know that's a little advanced for this type of video. We'll talk about that, of course, in a future video, but you can schedule shows just for people who have hit certain tiers in your rewards club, which is also really fun. All right, last but not least, promote show. You are never going to promote your show. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't promote your show. You don't need to. Look at all this. This is ridiculous. Look, it's telling me that if I was to promote my entire shows, or my entire show, I should pay $25 an hour for the full show. Don't do it, guys. We're not promoting shows. You don't need to promote a show. The only reason why you would promote a show is you have a fire banger show. I mean, it is just, everything is just grail fire stuff. And you want to be at the top of this. You want to be at the top of the category. So if you're selling in a big high category with lots of sellers and you want to appear right up at the top with other people who are sponsoring their shows, sponsor it because you want people to see that you have some great stuff. You don't want to fall down at the bottom. But for the most part, let's not sponsor our shows. Let's just like not even make that a thing. eBay has gotten so out of control with promoting listings, and it's insane that so many sellers feel as though they need to promote their listings in order to make sales. I have never promoted my listings on eBay. I don't think ever. And I have like 50 items listed on my eBay store, and I still sell 1 or 2 items a week. Every week, no promotion, just quality items that people want at a fair price. You don't need to promote your shows. Anyway, you can tell how passionate I am about that. Okay, that's it. Everything's filled out. So let's go back through it just one more time really quick. You've got your title, your date, your time. I have this one scheduled to repeat just because I want you guys to see it. We have it in our category of books. We're doing it in an auction. We've set up our tags. We didn't put any moderators or media in. We have our shipping settings defaulted. Again, watch those videos. Show options and content settings, as well as, if we're promoting it and all that good stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and click schedule show. And I'll show you guys kind of what it looks like. Let's see if it pops up here. So it does. It's going to pop up here. Unfortunately, it's not going to pop up in the way that it's going to look in my profile. So let's go here and see if I can show you. Okay, so let's click on shows. So you see here how all the words are visible in the title. Now on the computer, it gives you a lot more space to see visible words. So you can see here, I have a lot of space where I could have put more information here. If you guys can kind of see that there, there's a lot of space for more information. On the phone, that will be the max characters. Phone view, mobile view, that'll actually be the max characters. So that's why there's extra space on the end there. But you can see here, and you can see some of my profile pictures are different, right? So it's automatically defaulting to my face because that's my profile picture. But this is that reward show I was telling you guys about, the reward show. I have it, it's just these cute little flowers. This is our witchy show. I've got these cute little witches doing a little dance, so on and so forth. For my plush show, I've got, plush here. So here are the 2 shows we just scheduled. Do you guys see right here, this Tuesday, November 4th and Tuesday, November 11th? These were the 2 shows we just scheduled. And with one press of a button, it scheduled both of those shows. And as you can see, I could have probably scheduled 40 shows if I wanted to. So really easy to schedule shows. It's honestly just follow the instructions, optimize your title, put your time and dates, try to go live the same time each week. Anyway, that is the best way to grow your channel. It's just consistency. I'm live every Tuesday and Saturday at 4 p.m. every week, always. Every now and again, I might go live at 3 or maybe 5 because I'm late. I'm early or I'm late, right? But it's between 3 and 5, mostly 4 o'clock, 99% of the time. But yeah, that's scheduling. I feel like that's pretty easy. I think that was really in depth. I'm looking at the timer on my camera and it's 30 minutes. So I really hope that was in depth for you guys and a really good walkthrough. Let's go ahead and talk about listing and kind of getting your show prepped, because this is definitely going to be turning into a longer video. Before I do that real quick, just reminding you guys about that private mode and rehearsal mode. If you do toggle on, if you go through the same process of scheduling a show and click private mode, you can go live. You can actually click private mode and go live and pretend like you are live. If you want to see what the actual user face looks like and what does it really look like when you're live, you can use that private mode. Again, hopefully next week. My partner is supposed to be going on a work trip, but I don't think that he's going. So we are supposed to be shooting the live show next week. If for some reason he does end up needing to go, we will do it the following week. But hopefully next week you guys will be able to see my live interface of not just recording the outside of what I'm doing, but on my phone I'm going to do some screen recording so you guys can see what buttons I'm pressing, how I'm getting to the things on the screen. I'm going to go in depth on that. But if you do want to do a private show, you can. There's also an option for a rehearsal mode that is also in your Seller Hub. You can find that. And that is a non-live version that's a simulation of a live, and it walks you through press this button, do this next. So you see how that works? It kind of shows you without it being alive. So there are a couple options for that. All right, listing, prepping, getting everything set up. All right, so what you need to go ahead and do now is figure out how you're going to sell the items that you're going to sell. So talk to yourself. What are you going to do? Are we going to do individual listings? Do you want to take every single item that you have for sale, make an individual listing with a picture, a description, and a price and a shipping profile, and list it in your store and run those as auctions or have them in the buy it now for people to purchase? Is that what you want to do? Okay. Second, Do you want to do random pulls? Do you not really want to take a picture of every single thing you have because you have a lot of things? Do you want to just have listings where you're doing random pulls of whatever item you're selling and you're running an auction that's set at a specific weight? Because everything, you're running a bunch of t-shirts, right? So you have 50 t-shirts, you're going to show them on screen one at a time, and you're going to run an auction for each shirt, and then you're just going to label each shirt which auction it was. Was it auction 1? Was it auction 6? Was it auction 22? Which auction number was it? You'll label it, you'll put it to the side, and you'll just keep showing. You can do that. You can also do bundling. So it's not as auction heavy. It's more maybe as you're showing those 50 t-shirts, you want people to be able to bundle them. So Sarah in the chat goes, oh, I want that one, and she's the only one requesting it. You could then fold that shirt up and put it to the side into a pile that says Sarah. And every time Sarah requests another one of the shirts you're showing, if she's the only one requesting that shirt, you don't really need to run it as an auction because she's the only one that wants it. You could put it to the side for Sarah, and you could keep adding shirts to her pile until she's done shopping. And then you could take everything in her pile, pull it back onto the screen. You could take a little screenshot of it and make a listing, and you could either run that as an auction or put it into the buy it now. I typically put mine into the buy it now so I can keep the show rolling, but you could run it as an auction. Like, all right, Sarah, your bundle's running. Here are your 5 shirts you picked, and now you have your set price and your little weight, and you run that as an auction. You could do that. Those are really the 3 main methods, and so it kind of just depends on what you want to do. Do you have so many items that you want people to be able to bundle? A lot of people in the toy category do bundling because it's so many little toys. So it's like someone's selling just a bunch of random toys instead of running each individual item as an auction, because again, 30 cents for every single transaction adds up. So if you're running a $1 or $2 or $3 item, 30 cents for every single time you have to run that $1 or $2 or $3 item cuts into your profits. Instead of running it every time, can you just stick it to the side with a label that says this is Joe's pile, this is Bob's pile, this is, whatever, and then keep adding to their pile until they're ready to cash out. So you kind of pick what you want to do. Most people do a lot of individual auctions, and those are really good as well. I think one benefit to doing individual auctions that bundling misses out on is that sometimes people are in the chat and do want to buy the item you're selling, but they don't want to tell you they want to buy the item. They want you to just run it, and then if they want to bid and it's a price they want, they'll bid on it. It happens to me actually a lot, and it's one of the reasons why I do try to do auction shows from time to time, because I will sell really good books that will go into someone's bundle, and then a minute later somebody's like, oh, are you running that book? And it's like, no, I have it listed in my show notes as well as at the bottom of the screen, and I've said it multiple times, like how I'm running my show. I'm sorry, but that book is already claimed. And it's like, bummer, because they would have bid on it, right? And so it's not skin off of my back. I don't care. Like, I have my show set up very clearly and explained how it works. But I might be missing out on extra money because I do the bundling. So there is a give and a take. So it just kind of depends. I hate listing, so I do bundling. I would rather lose out on a few extra bucks every week than spend the time sitting there listing, taking photographs, and describing every single item. That just is miserable to me. It is the one really important part of being a reseller, is being able to list your inventory, and is my least favorite thing, which is why I love Whatnot, because I can just go live and be like, hey guys, this is all the stuff I have. Like, who wants what? Tell me what you're looking for. I love it. That's my favorite type of selling. So what do you like? Pick that, start going down that path. Let's break down the 2 main paths. We're going to talk about auctions and we're going to talk about bundling very briefly, because the point of this video is to talk about how you actually set up your listings. For auctions, you are going to set it up every item's individually listed or random pulls, and your random pulls are going to be listed as an auction listing. It's going to be listed just like it's an item, but it's going to be a quantity listing. Okay, so that's the key. You're going to set the quantity of that listing higher. So if you have 5 of a certain item and they all weigh 6 ounces and they're all t-shirts, you would put in random t-shirt shown, or t-shirt shown on screen as the title. Then you could put in, you want all these auctions to start at $5, so the starting bid is 5, and you have 5 of them. So you change the quantity to 5, and then you go down to the shipping profile and you select the item that mostly relates to the 6 ounces. Now, when you click publish, you'll have a listing in your auction that says shirt shown, quantity of 5, $5 starts, and you can run each one of those as you're showing the item on screen. Okay? That's what that listing process is going to look like. It's a lot of listing. For the bundling, you're going to have similar listings in the sense of I do my listings by weight because my books tend to weigh, between 1 ounce and 4 pounds. So I have a variety of listings by weight that relate to those so that if I need to run the auction, I can. So I can say, here's the books, a bunch of people want it, I'll run it at whatever the weight class is. But what I'm mostly doing is putting them to the side. So mostly I'm just sticking books to the side in piles for everybody all over the place. And then when they're ready to purchase them, I'm actually then creating a listing live within my show. So the main difference is you're creating listings before the show or you're creating listings during the show. Those are going to be the two big differences between auction-based heavy and more bundling heavy, okay? Let's go ahead and jump into the computer. Let's go through a listing. Let's just kind of talk about what it looks like. Let's go on over here to the list item, right? So let's do list item. And it's going to pull up, obviously, this whole screen here. I think listing on your phone is 100% easier than listing on the computer. I'm showing you on the computer because I think most of the people that are watching this video probably are using a computer. So I think it'll be easier for you to see the walkthrough on the computer. But I do think that if you can get comfortable listing on your phone, it goes insanely quicker. Also, I can't take pictures with my laptop. I can't take photos of the items. There is this new option. I've never done this mobile upload where you can scan this QR code and it will, I guess, allow you to put the photos in. I've never done that. If you want to try that, give it a try and test it. It's not something I'm going to talk about in this video because I think it's an unnecessary step. I think you should just use your phone, but I'm biased to that. So if you want to try that, go for it. Let's go ahead and go through the product details here. Again, same thing with the red asterisks. Look for the red asterisks as you're going through. It's going to show you the things that have to be filled out. All right. So first up, we're going to always pick a category. Again, on your phone, a lot of this will default because it is something you list in so often that it'll actually default for the most part to the category that you're commonly listing in. So you don't always have to pick that every time. Real quick, I just want to interject because I just realized something. I'm creating a listing for my marketplace right now. I did not go into the show and then click create listing. So what I'm doing right now is actually just creating a generic listing. There's a marketplace where people can buy items from you at any time. And then there's your show listings where people can only buy those items within the show. I'm doing a general listing because I did not go to my show, open it up, and then click create listing. And I'll show you that here in a second so you can see the difference. All right, title. What are you listing? Are you listing a single item? Or are you listing bulk items? I'm going to show you how I list a weight class. How do I list something that is a weight? Like how are people selling something that says item 8 to 11 ounces? What is that? Okay. We're going to list book 1 to 2 pounds. You see that? That's the title. Book 1 to 2 pounds, which means as I'm showing a book, if I'm running that auction, I'm showing a book that weighs 1 to 2 pounds and I'm running that auction. In the description, I'm going to say book shown. Okay, needs to be something. Quantity, we have 1. We're going to go ahead and skip these next categories here. Topic, condition, binding, all that. I do never fill that out. Obviously, that's specific to the book category. When you pick the category, it'll default optional fields. So it might be like size, variant, fabric, things like that. Maybe it's designer, year, season, whatever it is that you're selling. It might be different things. And then again, here's the variants. So like if you have multiples, again, we're not going to do this because it's not a buy it now listing. It's an auction. There's so many reasons. But if you want to list stuff in the buy it now and you have 4 different styles of Coach bags, you could do a variant where you could do blue Coach bag, 5, pink Coach bag 5, purple Coach bag 5, whatever, and you can have your variants and it would list it all at once instead of having to do a ton of different listings. All right, next up over here on the right hand side, pricing. So we've got buy it now and auction. So I'm going to put mine in the auction. When I do these like set weight class listings, they're not in the buy it now because they wouldn't know what they're buying. What is item 8 to 11, they're buying something that's on auction. It's on the screen. So we're going over to auction and we're going to put in our start price and we're going to say $1 because I could be starting a book at $1. I could be starting it at $8. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to put the minimum at $1 because it maybe is $1 book, but I'm not going to put $4 because maybe it's a $3 book. So I'm going to start it as $1 for the default. And then when I go to actually start the auction, which again, we'll learn next week, I can change it. So I'm starting it at $1. But when I run the auction, I'm changing it to what I want to run it at. So if this book is actually a $5 book, when I go to click start auction, I'll click $5 and then start auction, and it'll start it at $5 instead of $1. So I put in 1 just because that's the baseline. Sudden death. This means when the clock starts counting down, once it gets to 0, that's it. It doesn't reset. Every time someone bids, it won't reset. It just counts down to 0. Last person to bid gets the item. I never do sudden death, but it's a lot of fun and you definitely can. And then reserve for live. So again, auctions outside of lives are in beta. We'll let you know this is available. This is people who can do long-term auctions, like days long auctions like eBay, where you can set an auction for like 5 days or something like that. Obviously it's making me choose a show to put this into and not my marketplace because it's an auction. So since you can't put an auction item in your marketplace, I have to pick the show that I want to put it into, which is fine. I'll pick this one because then I can show it to you guys here in just a second. And so we'll pick that one. And then if I did do buy it now, for example, and did the price at what I want it to be in the buy it now, I could also then make it only available to be purchased in a show. So instead of going to the marketplace, you can pick. So earlier when I said that, you can make it so that it goes into a show, but I digress. Again, there's so many things. There's like so much details I wish I could give you, and I'm trying my best to like give you everything that's in my brain out loud as much as I can. Please drop any questions you have below. If I'm confusing you or if I left something out, just ask. I never mind answering. All right, so we're gonna do $1. We're gonna put it into this show. And then shipping profile. So again, this is where you're going to have these profiles set up I talked about earlier so that you can have all of these 5-pound bundle, 7-pound bundle, 8, all these were not part of my shipping profiles. I created every single one of these. I have piles of books sometimes that weigh 18 pounds. I need a shipping profile that I can create a listing on the fly in my show and click 18 pounds. Again, I posted videos earlier about that. You guys can watch. These are the defaults, okay? So if you're curious if you need to set up shipping profiles, these are the defaults. You're going to start off with 0 to 1 ounces. It's going to go all the way up to a pound, and then it starts going 1 to 2 pounds, 2 to 3, so on and so forth. Then you get a 4 to 6, a 7 to 9, and a 10 to 14, and that is it. So if you need profiles outside of those weight classes, you need to set them up. Also, 10 to 14 pounds is a big range for like a priority mail. So the package may be 10 pounds, but they're getting charged for 14 and they're not buying 14 pounds of stuff. So that's not really fair. So the shipping profile for this one, because it's listed as a book 1 to 2 pounds, shocker, shocker, the shipping profile is going to be for the weight of 1 to 2 pounds. So when the buyer's getting charged shipping, they're getting charged for what the weight is of that specific item. There's no hazardous materials, and I do not need to ever fill out these optional fields because for me, I do not have an inventory system like that. For you, you may need to if you want to have a SKU system so you know where that item is located, or maybe you want to know how much that item costs so you can truly track your profits. But for me, I'm going to skip those and we're going to go ahead and publish this listing, and we'll head on over to the show so you can see what it looks like once it's published in there. So let's go ahead and click publish. Okay, so it looks like it probably wants a photo. Okay, that's a bummer. So I'm going to just pop in this little picture of me that I just happen to have on the computer. So you do have to list at least one photo. All right, so let's publish that. We're going to always, I'm skipping the conditions. Again, like I said, I don't ever put conditions in like, or like information just because I'm showing most of my books live. So I don't need to make listings like that. Okay, so it took us right over to our inventory category where you can see this here. You can also see that it's featured in one show. So let's go ahead and go on over here to shows. And this is our upcoming show. Let's click open and I'll show you what that listing now looks like in there. All right, so we have one item, just one item in our show, which is this book 1 to 2 pounds. And obviously I only put a quantity of 1. Realistically, I would put out like a quantity of like 100. And then when I'm showing the book or the item and I want to run it, I would click product actions. Again, I can't click start auction because we're not live, but I would click start auction and I would edit, however much I want to sell that item for, and then it would run. I don't feel like that's the greatest example of creating a listing, but I feel like it gives you the bones of it. Again, going on your phone is really going to be where it's at. And in fact, I really feel tempted to go ahead and create a listing on my phone real quick just to show you how much simpler it can be. So let's go ahead and jump into that real quick. I just want to do a really fast mobile version of doing a listing because I think that I just really think it's important, and it'll help you guys really be able to grasp this listing side of things. When you open up your Whatnot app, like I said, to get to your seller hub, down here in the bottom middle, you can see these 4 little squares. It will pull up your seller hub, and it does have at the top there that create product, schedule a show, just like you saw on the desktop. And then it just has a few other things like your account health, some of your upcoming shows here, as well as just some general things you might need to access for your like seller hub information, just commonly accessed items. But in the top right hand corner, if you see here these 3 dots, if you click on that, it actually does pull up the rest of your seller hub, some additional tools, reward club information, whatever it is that you might need is probably going to be in those 3 dots or here on this seller hub screen. So let's go ahead and pop into a show and create a listing. I want to show you guys how it looks like when you are doing it right here within a show. Right here on your home screen, imagine you have scheduled a show. This is what your show looks like. You go into your profile and that's your upcoming show. So what you want to go ahead and do is start, of course, entering inventory. So we're going to click on the bottom right hand corner. You see this little shop with a yellow circle. Go ahead and click on that. And there's nothing in here. It says no inventory. Tap to create new products. So we don't have anything in our buy it now. We have no giveaways. Nothing is listed in here. So let's go ahead and click on this little plus sign here. And we're always going to use create quality listing. I personally do not ever use the other 2 options. So we're going to click create quality listing. Now, here's why I prefer the phone. Obviously, you can see here, it's all of the same stuff that was on the desktop screen, just a little bit of an easier format in my opinion. So let's go ahead and click add photos. Let's pretend that we're going to do this little critter book here. So let's go ahead and take a nice little picture of it. We'll go ahead and flip it around, and maybe we'll take a picture of kind of the inside here, and I'll click complete. So now I've got my photos up here, nice and easy. We have our recent categories, like I mentioned, are sometimes preset there for you. And we'll title this Little Golden Book, Little Critter, Just a Bad Day. And then we'll say this is a hardback, clean. And again, skipping all of these additional specifications. We only have 1 copy. We'll put it in the auction tab, and I'll do it at $2. And as you can see, I can't even change this reserve for live. It doesn't allow me because I'm listing it within my show. So this listing is going to be live in this show that I'm listing it in. Shipping Profiles is a pretty light book. We'll go ahead and pop it into 1 to 3 ounces, and let's click publish. And that's going to pop right up. So that's how you do a listing. It's really, really simple. Obviously, that was a lot faster on my phone too. But now you have this item listed. Little Golden Book, Little Critter, Just a Bad Day. Someone can click on it. They can scroll through the photos and see what it looks like. They see that it's $2, hardback, so on and so forth. And then obviously I can't start the auction here, but this is how it would show up, and I would be able to then show these. Just a reminder, like earlier when we were doing, again, I'm going to give you guys an example, doing the weight class listings. One of the things I like to do is put my phone down flat like this and take a picture. And now I have this black screen as my image because you have to have an image. I can then do book 1 to 2 pounds because I just want to show you guys what this looks like here. As shown, we'll do auction and shipping profile 1 to 2 pounds, publish. So now this is listed in here, right? And so now say I'm showing a book and they go, oh, I want to buy it. I can run that item. I just want to show you hypothetically how to make things to pin at the bottom real quick, because that's a question I get asked a lot. So sometimes I say things like welcome, and where's it at? Welcome, shelves pictured in auction, make requests. Let's say that's what we want it to say. again, sticking with like the capitalization, it just looks better in my opinion. And then I'll use the description and I'll say most books under $4, and I'll say see show notes, something along those lines. Let's just pretend that's what we want it to say. This is how I make those things that I pin at the bottom. So now I have a listing for it here. If I click the little thumbtack button there and go back, do you see how now it's just pinned up at the bottom? So I can give people information when they're popping in. If they can read the bottom, they'll be able to see a lot of details there. Just a few other things I want to show you while you're on this screen, because again, this is the screen you're going to be looking at when you are, ready to go live. This is how you're going to be able to manage what's going on in your show. So first thing I want to show you over here in the top right, you see where it says more? This is how you're going to be able to like modify things in your show. So if you need to edit your show, like the time, the date, the category, whatever it is, you're going to use this edit show button, which is really helpful. It pulls your like show schedule page back up. You can change the title, you could change the time if you need to move it to a different time. This is where you can add in that media. So you can go in and add your thumbnail, add in that preview video. This is where you're going to go ahead and add that in after the fact. If you need to change the category or whatever it is, you can do all of that here. And then you also have the option for canceling your show. Maybe you just overall like, I can't do it, I need to cancel my show. You could create a poll, which is really cool. Maybe you need to ask them a question. Should we start with children's or adult books, right? Maybe I'm doing a show like that and I could do children's and then I could do adult. And when people pop in, they'll be able to see this poll and vote, and you can see what people most want to see. So then you can, gauge what you need to do from there. Maybe you just want to ask, what's your favorite holiday? Do you prefer Thanksgiving or Christmas? What are you most looking forward to, or whatever it is, right? And then you also have your tip settings, which you don't really need to change. Maybe you don't want people's messages popping up. You could turn that off. You can also personalize things like send a tip for a shout out, or send a tip to trigger a giveaway, or all tips go to support this local charity, or something like that. You can put those settings in. And then the verified buyers, you can turn this on and off just at a click of a button. I always have mine off. Verified buyers are people who have submitted like their driver's license, I believe. It's just to ensure people aren't like trying to be scammy. It's great for if you sell like high-end luxury items and you don't want people like claiming that they got an item damaged or didn't return, arrive, stuff like that. Just things you don't want to risk, losing money out on. The last thing you want to do is go ahead and click on this show notes option. So show notes are going to be pinned up for people to view when they pop in. It'll actually look just like this. It'll look like a little post-it note. And they can click on it and it'll tell them about what's going on in your show. Now, since my show last Saturday is the same that I'm doing for Tuesday, I'm going to click this import last show notes, and it's actually going to pull up all my show notes from that show. So you can see here, I talk about my name, what I do, that I only run auctions if more than one person's interested. I show new inventory. You can make requests, as well as a lot of my pricing. Most of my pricing ranges from like the $1 to $5 mark, but I do have some set pricing if people want to know. And then just again, more information, when I'm live next, all that good stuff. So just helping people understand. So now when they click on show notes, it'll pop up and they can kind of get a good gist of how the show works. So utilizing those options as well within your dashboard are going to be great. And that is listing. All right. I think that is a really good explanation of scheduling and listing shows. And really what it comes down to is just deciding how you want to sell. If you're going to individually list items, the process is pretty simple. You're just going to go through the process of taking pictures and listing each item. If you want to do the random pulls, you're just going to make listings in your show that correspond to like the weight class or the item that you're selling so that the shipping is accurate. That's why you're creating separate listings instead of just saying one item for every single thing, which you can do if they all fall into the general same weight class. But for you to not have to pay overages on shipping and for your buyer to pay the most accurate shipping cost, having those different weight class listings is helpful. So maybe you do sell items that are really light, like t-shirts, but you also sell heavier items like jeans. One may be always under a pound, one is probably always over a pound. So you want to just have different listings for that. And then again, next week when we do our live show, you will be able to see much more in depth and tangibly what it looks like to do the bundling versus auctions and labeling and Next week's video is going to be the video. This is the video you guys have been asking for a very, very long time, and I'm really excited to make it. But hopefully that was a good breakdown for you. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. It greatly helps my channel. And leave a comment below letting me know what you think. I will see you guys next week, hopefully with our live selling video. If for some reason things change, we'll do something different, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks with the live selling video. But I'm really excited about that one. I will catch you guys then. Have a wonderful week until I see you guys next time. Bye.